second thing I want to talk about is processing incoming items. So this is really how we keep up with all that's coming in at us. And my best technique for you here is to process, don't check. So this is true of paper that comes in. It's true of email. I'll give the example of email most in this segment, but it also includes things you think of to do, things other people ask you to do, voicemail. These are all inputs, right? And we definitely know that there's a lot coming at us, whether it's what we choose to consume. And so that's one thing to think about is what are you choosing to consume? That external stimuli from social media, from news outlets, from other people's opinions, that is something that you can choose to dial up or dial down. But it's a conscious choice, and we need to make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves with kind of minimizing times that we feel overwhelmed and overloaded by dialing that down. I know I have to take that advice too, and my family can attest to that, especially lately. So when we think about processing, not checking, I want to give you a system for doing that. And that is the system of make one of 5 decisions. So this can be decisions you make when you're processing through physical items and you're thinking about, is this clutter or not? It can be a decision that you make on email that's sitting in your inbox right now. So when you go to your email, rather than open it and then close it and say, I'll come back to it later, this is somehow, things just get buried below new stuff that comes in, right? So there's a worry about things slipping through the cracks. This is how to eliminate that. You make a decision on each of these incoming items. And I mentioned before, we'll talk a little bit about the It's About Time program at the end, but one of the bonuses that we're giving is a great little reminder card. And I know this is too small to see if you've got the small thumbnail of me up, but we've got some great reminder cards here of some systems that we recommend and that I'm going to talk about. So that's one of the bonuses today. We've got a whole, it's called our Taskmaster library to offer to you. Anyway, make one of 5 decisions. So as you're considering incoming items, number 1, can you delete it? Or if it's a physical item, can you let it go? Is it junk mail? Is it something you've read and you can be done with? Is it not something that you asked for in the first place? So can you delete it? Number 2, can you delegate? So thinking about preserving your time to do the work or the tasks or the choices that only you can do or that you're best suited to do, we want to try to delegate everything else that other people can do for us. So that's, of course, where you have a resource to do that, and sometimes we need to get creative around delegation, but with email, delegation looks like a forward and a request or assigning a task. With physical mail, it's getting it into the hands of the right person. With physical items, it might be passing something along. So delegate is the second decision to make. The third is Nike's phrase, just do it. So if it takes a minute or less to deal with an incoming item and be done with it, great. So this could include it's a piece of mail and it's an invitation, it's something you need to quickly put on your calendar and then you can let that paper go. Or it's an email and there's a quick question that you need to answer, you can do that quickly, or data you need to enter, you can do that quickly and then let that email go. So that third decision, just do it. Now, sometimes we do something by asking a question back, and now there's no more we can do with this now until we hear a response. You might want to have a spot in your office for things that you're waiting for a response on, so a file folder titled Waiting for Response, or a folder in your email system titled Waiting for Response, and that can be a temporary holding place for those things until you hear back. Now, the fourth decision is to file this thing for reference or basically put it where it goes. So if this is not something that you need to act on, but you may be responsible for sometime later, let's get it in the right spot. So we'll talk about we need to have a good reference filing system to make that happen, but that's the fourth decision. And then the fifth decision is to file it for follow-up or queue it up for future action. So the number one reason that people leave things in their inbox when we're talking about their email inbox or on the surface of their desk is they're afraid of out of sight, out of mind. So we need to have a good action management system in place, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute as well, so that we can put something away until we need to do it. And in fact, that helps because not everything's a priority right now. But if we leave stuff out, and the average American worker, again, statistics, I love them, has an average of 37 hours of unfinished work on their desk or desktop at any one point in time. Now, it's not all a priority right now. So is that other work that's not a priority just another shiny object or distraction to what you want to be focused on? And most of the time it is. So filing it for follow-up or getting it into an action management system, one that you can put something away and know you're going to be triggered at the right time to act. So let's dig into a couple of these. So action management system, this is that fifth decision. There are a few different ideas that you could set up. One is kind of an old-fashioned tickler system. So some people will go as far and as detailed with paper, or this can be done in your email client system as well, having folders labeled 1 through 31 and January through December. That's for every day of the month and month of the year, and then put in paper into that day on the day you intend to follow up. So let's say there's bills you need to pay, and you're not automated, and you're going to do that on the 30th of the month. You would throw that in the 30 file. And then on the 30th, of course, you would need the habit of going into that folder and pulling out anything you said you were going to do that day and working through those items. This can work on email as well. At the end of the month, you would pull from the next month. So at the end of March, you would pull from April, and anything that you intended to do in April, you would put into the 1 through 31 folders. So property taxes is a great example. Those are typically due in April and October. So those notifications that you get to remind you to send in your payment, you can put in the April and October folders. And then at the end of March, you're going to pull, oh yeah, I need to do this next month, and it's due on the 30th. So why don't I get it in the mail on the 15th, and you'll drop it in the 15th for that month to be able to act. So that's a tickler system. It's been around for a long, long time, and it works well for a lot of people. You can also have an action management system that's based on categories of action you're going to take. So a tickler is based on timing, based on when you need to do something. The action management system that's based on categories is having file folders, again, in your email program or physically, that say things like to read, to report, to enter, to file. So based on the action you're going to take, and again, collecting like things together, that does help with another technique we're going to talk about later, chunking like activities so that you can do them more effectively. So categorical action management system can work for people as well. There are lots of tools that you may already have at your disposal. For example, those of you that are Outlook users, tasks. And there's, for those of you that aren't Outlook users, I know the G Suite also has tasks now. Lots of apps where you can signal tasks. So if you're using a project management tool like Asana, Basecamp, Trello, there's tasks that you can assign there to break the project down into actionable steps. So that's another example of action management system. Find one that works well for you. So I personally use Outlook Tasks because I'm already using Outlook, and it is like this to take an email and turn it into a task. So I can get it out of my inbox, queue it up for action, and on the day that I'm meant to do that thing, it shows up for me as a today task. So I'm a fan of that. Another option is putting things that you need to do, tasks, on your calendar, whatever you use for your calendar. So based on, again, when you are going to do something, making a note on your calendar. And if there's paper associated with it, you can have a file folder that says calendar items, and then be able to refer into that file folder when that task or appointment comes up on your calendar. So the benefit to calendaring things is you're blocking out and identifying the amount of time you think it's going to take, and you don't have to wonder when you're going to do it. So those are examples of action management systems. Now, to make one of 5 decisions, you know that the 4th decision was to file it for reference, so I want to make sure you have a good reference filing system as well. you want to consider these things when you're setting up a reference filing system. One, it should be easy to file into and easy to retrieve. So one of the considerations there is making sure you have enough room. You don't want to have a system that's overstuffed, otherwise it's going to hurt to put things in and be complicated to find and get things out, and you just won't use it. You'll leave things out instead. So making sure that your reference filing system is as simple as it can be and as complex as it needs to be, but not overstuffed. You want to start with large categories. So brainstorm, what are the large categories of information you're responsible for keeping? So for your work, that might be the big buckets of work or areas of responsibilities that you have. From there, you're going to break that into subcategories. So an example, you may have a large, broad category of clients. And then subcategories, you get specific. What type of client? So, simply placed, we have business clients, we have residential clients, we have archived clients or past clients. We have our virtual productivity program clients. So if we alphabetize those files, that would be all over the place in our filing system based on, B for business, R for residential, V for virtual, right? Otherwise, if we can do clients-residential, clients-business, clients-virtual program, then they're all together under the clients broad category. So hopefully that makes sense. The last thing I'll say on reference filing system and as you're choosing your file naming conventions is consider what are you going to look for 6 months from now. So if you take a class on organization and it's called The Magic of Unearthing Your Desk, you file notes on that under M for magic, are you going to think to look there, or will you even remember the name of the class, 6 months from now? Or would you just look and say, well, it's about organization. File it under O for organization, right? Just call it organization, and then you can do dash magic of class, right? So that's what I'm talking about here when I'm saying, what do you call it 6 months from now? You have to kind of pretend you're your future self looking for this item. Now, with electronic search, it's easier because you can, type in a number of things. So yeah, so somebody's saying naming things to find them later was a game changer for me. Yeah, it's important to think like your future self. We talk about that in the program too. Do things today your future self will thank you for.